All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Is this everybody just kind of get in just today? Yes? Excellent. Well, thanks for making us one of your first stops. My name is Neil McKenzie. I'm Vice President of Marketing here at Universal Furniture. We have a ton going on this market. We have 15 events in here in the Learning Center. We are recording them all. So if you've missed any, they will be available after. So if you go to Universal, the same place that you registered, all of the educational seminars are being recorded, and you'll have the opportunity to watch those at your leisure. And that'll happen probably about a week after market. Just give us a little time. We have a ton of new product here in the showroom as well. We encourage you to tour the showroom, stay for a drink, whatever you'd like to do there. Just check in at the front desk and they will allow you to be on your way. We also have tagged everything in the showroom, so you have the ability to grab a little scanner at the front desk, and you can actually scan all the items that you love, so scan as much as you want. And then when you check out, you'll actually get an email with everything that you scan to refer to. So we have a new collection on floor 3 with Aaron Valencic, Aaron V with Universal. Floor 2 shows everything that we have in stock from Miranda Kerr and Coastal Living. And here on floor 1, we have a new collection called Nostalgia across the hall, as well as our special order upholstery, which is shipping in 8 to 10 weeks. So that's exciting. Yeah, I know, right? It's the good old days. So today we have Tori Sikkema here. She's going to talk about kind of telling your story visually. I think that, from a marketing standpoint, that's it's so important, and I think in terms of pictures do tell a story all by themselves. And it's so important, I think, for everybody's brand and what you do here at Market as well. So definitely as you tour and shop, please feel free to share our story as well. So you can tag us at Universal Fern. So with that, Tori, I will let you kick it along. So thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
I so appreciate Neil. I interviewed him for my podcast, Brand Lift, a couple weeks ago, and we had just so much fun just learning all about what Universal has in store for you coming up. It's very exciting. But I so appreciate Neil. His team is incredible. Thank you for making me feel so welcome. Welcome in this incredible learning center. This is the heartbeat of Universal, and having it available as a resource to all of you, I think, is incredible. So 15 events. However, I'm a little biased because Neil tells me that the people that come on Friday are the most enthusiastic people. So, of course, I had to kick it off on Friday. So no, I'm serious. Thank you for being here. It's wonderful. And again, I just thank Neil and his team so much. So who am I? My name is Tori Sikkema. I'm an interiors and brand photographer plus stylist. And I'm based out of central New Jersey, but I travel all around the country to support designers, architects, and builders, help capture and tell the visual story of their design projects. But before I go down that rabbit hole, we're going to talk a little bit. I'm just going to give you a sneak peek of what we're going to talk about. So we're going to cover the power of your brand and telling your story visually. That's very important. Using social media curated photos to elevate your brand presence, which could then lead to you getting booked and published. But most importantly, we're going to talk about getting you in front of the camera. Yes, I know it's scary and we don't like to think about it, we don't like to talk about it, but you are the face of your brand, and so we want to see you in however you show up is how we want you to be, because people just want to connect with you. So let's go back and I'll tell you a little bit about me and how I got here. So my dad was an ad man. Think Don Draper from Mad Men. Seriously, martini lunches, the works. And he, at the peak of his career, worked at Condé Nast and was the advertising director for House and Garden magazine. So as a young girl, I have fond memories of being on location for these incredible photo shoots in New York, Westchester, Connecticut, Greenwich. You're from White Plains. Yeah, so it's quintessential, just beautiful. And so the flurry of activity with photographers and stylists and all the creative goings on behind the scenes to make these beautiful images that we all love to see in magazines. And it really imprinted in my mind. It actually started my passion for photography. I thought, wow, that's really cool. They can capture those images, and how do they do it? It's like magic. And so that carried with me through my career. And believe me, there's a lot of chapters of my career. But I didn't end up working in publishing. I started out as an intern, actually, at Self Magazine, but I decided to go another direction. After college, I was in sales and marketing for Perrier in Greenwich, Connecticut, a water company, little water company. And I traveled. I was a national accounts manager. I loved it. I am a connector of people. I love helping people, being a resource. It's just in my DNA. So first career was sales and marketing. I went from Perrier, national accounts manager. Then I worked for a winery, Sutter Home Winery in Napa. They're now called Trinchero Estates. So I went from water to wine. Okay. No. And that was even better. My expense account was really big, and I had to drink wine. Lots of my clients' wines, and it was a lot of fun. Then I got into owning my own business. Pilates studio. I don't know, anybody do Pilates? Okay, Contrology. We'll talk about that. That's in the workflow that we'll talk about for you. And so there's been a lot of iterations of my career, as I'm sure many of you have those interesting stories about yourselves. And then I figured, whatever, let me work in higher education. So I went to work at Princeton University, and I mentored students, and that was such a blessing. We supported students going abroad for international internships. I worked with NGOs. I connected students with opportunities. It was really just wonderful. But then COVID hit. And I wanted to be true to who I was creatively. And really that started back from when I was a little girl and what I love to do, how that imprinted on my DNA. And my camera came wherever I traveled. So I said, you know what? I left my full-time gig, and within 6 months of picking up my camera, I was published in 6 different magazines within 6 months. But what that really meant is that I helped 6 people realize their dreams. And in return, I met my dreams and got to my goals. So to me, that was the best business model I had ever seen. You mean if I help someone reach their goals, I reach my goals? I really like that. So I'm married. I have 2 kiddos. They're in college, so they're kind of grown. And I'll tell you, photography saved my life through COVID. I don't know what it was for you. Sourdough starter, bagels. For me, it was photography. I refreshed my house, and I photographed it. So I kept refreshing and kept photographing. So we'll talk about social media content next. So I really don't believe that there's any mistakes in life. I believe that I'm here right where I should be at the right time to connect with you. So there are no mistakes. So we're going to talk about visual storytelling, how to leverage your story and expertise, how to grow your social media presence, and how to get yourself out there in front of the camera. Okay, I love this. This makes a lot of sense to my brain. And I hope it helps your brain understand this cycle as well. So the brand cycle of life, it all starts with you, your why. Why are you doing what you do? And that is telling your story. People want to connect with who you are. They want to know, to do business with you, they want to know, like, and trust you, right? So the more that you share about who you are and why you do what you do, what's your superpower, people want to connect with that. They want to know your story. It humanizes you. It helps you relate to other people. Then we have elevates your brand. So once you tell your story, you start attracting people. You start connecting with people because they're relating to you. Oh yeah, I understand that. That happened to me. That's so similar. So you tell your story. It enhances and elevates your brand, which in turn elevates your business. So the more people that you connect with, and the more recognizable your story becomes and resonates with people, that helps attract and help grows and elevates your business. It positions you as an expert in your field. And then, of course, it helps you connect with your dream clients. If you're connecting with your dream clients, then you're generally, hopefully, booking more projects. And what's interesting is when you connect with those people that relate to you and that your story resonates with them, those probably are your passion projects, right? You're more of your ideal client, the projects that you would just love to do, right? What is it? The entire house with you having 100% control. They love everything that you show them, and they're just like carte blanche. I love it, go for it. Those are your dream clients, right? Call me when it's done. Here's the keys. And so if you have an elevated brand, your business is growing, you're connecting with more people, you're booking more of your passion projects, maybe, just maybe, you could get published too. So what the brand cycle of life helps you do is it sets you up, it gives you a formula for all of these elements. If all of these elements are in place and working in simpatico, then if you decide one day you want to get published, you're going to have the workflow that it takes to get there. We're going to keep talking about the brand cycle of life. Okay. Yes, photography. So I'm a professional interior photographer. I love what I do. I have a passion for design. I love styling. I get along with people. And I love seeing what I can create behind my lens, through my lens, how we can move things and tweak things. But it also helps elevate your brand, professional photography. It helps you present to yourself in a different way that resonates with people, so it's growing your brand. You're having a brand presence. People are recognizing, oh, that's white and wood interior design. So it helps connect your brand with what your visual aesthetic is. And it helps you grow your clientele. I am a visual storyteller. And when I collaborate with designers, architects, and builders, my goal, the approach I take, is that of making a documentary. I want to capture every element of the design process that you have created. There's a story to tell, right? There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's a lot of middle, a lot of waiting time, but then at the end, you have this incredible project, and it begs to be captured visually. So I take a documentary approach, and I tell the story of the journey. And being a brand photographer, these are all of my clients in front of the camera, or blurred, going through the camera. I'm known for my blur. So building your portfolio. So important. And I know it's an investment, but it's an investment in your brand. Yes, it tells the world who you are. You've arrived. Oh, yeah, that's my brand. It also informs your clients that you have, so yes, it's an investment, but if you work it into your project's budget and workflow, you can take a little bite out of the elephant that way, but then also inform your clients on the front end that after installation, you'll be professionally photographing the project. Heck, write it in your contract. We'll have professional photo shoot. It just prepares them. And I work with a lot of homeowners, and we come in and we kind of take over. But I promise them that we will leave it as we found it and be very respectful. And that's really all they care about. So yes, it's an investment. Think about working it into your project budget and informing your clients in advance. So you've invested all of this time, weeks, months, years. The project's done. And now what I'm saying to you is, how do we take this incredible project and leverage it to help you elevate your brand? That's it. We want to leverage the beautiful work that you've done and help you grow your business and gain momentum. It's the law of attraction, right? You put something beautiful out there and people are going to be attracted to it. Storytelling. So it's honing in on the details. It's the evolution of each space. What was the inspiration for this project? What was the jumping off point? Was it a particular colorway? Or was it all the textures and textiles that you wove together to create this incredible space? I want to weave a visual narrative of that story. And generally, it's inspired, your jumping off point with your clients, it's generally inspired by people, places, or vintage items. So in this picture, oh, I love this, Central New Jersey. So we have these windows enveloping the space, and then outside, can you see this okay? Is that, yeah. You can see green through the windows. It's all lakes and greenery outside. And the client wanted to feel like she had a room in a treehouse. She wanted to feel like she was sitting in a treehouse. And I think that they nailed it. Now the colorway is pretty modern, right? White walls, black trim, ebony trim. But the punches of color come through in the textiles and the different textures and the touch of organic, I call it the signs of life. Each space should have some sign of life in it, at least for photography. And I think that tells a really lovely story. So this client was inspired by a mixture of classic and modern materials to create a functional, British-inspired kitchen. There's an adjacent coffee bar and with the workspace, adjacent from the workspace, and then these floor-to-ceiling cabinets that hide, the larger platters, serving platters that no one has any space for in these older kitchens because the depth of the cabinets are so shallow. So this was inspired by her trips to Europe and specifically England. These stories paint visual pictures for you of design ideas inspired by people, places, and things. My job, again, is to take that rich narrative and create storylines to tell through the pictures that I take during our photo shoot. You and I work collaboratively because you and I become a team. I'm your creative director, I'm your coach, I'm your lighting specialist, I'm your project manager, and most importantly, I'm your friend. And so I'm invested in showing your project in its best light. And whatever your goal is for that photo shoot, it doesn't have to be for publishing, because we know that can tie up our photos, it can tie up our images. But if you need it for your website or content on social media, which we will talk about, photos are not dead. I promise you they're not. More inspiration. So this is a sustainable working farm in rural New Jersey, but you'd never know it from looking at this beautiful modern interior. The outside was that they actually demolished the original home, and they had handmade bricks from North Carolina brought in, lime washed. I mean, they spared no expense. It's absolutely stunning. It looks like it's 250 years old on the outside of this house. But inside, we showcase the homeowner's incredible collection of artwork and vintage guitars. I don't know if you can see the vintage guitar in the corner, and this burl wood guitar stand was just unbelievable. But I'm talking 20 guitars all throughout this house. It was just lovely. And there was a little cat that would just kind of peek in. He didn't have a tail, but he'd come and he'd run up. I actually got a couple, I should have brought it, a couple blurred pictures of him running up the stairs. And it was just so cool. That was like the highlight of my day. Like, I got the cat. I got the cat. So that's my cat story. But doesn't that artwork just jump? I mean, her eyes are piercing. And that's one of so many. In the background, it's Bridget Bardot or Twiggy. It was this cool piece of art that transitioned and showed like Marilyn Monroe, Bridget Bardot, and Twiggy. And it was so cool. And then you've got Bob Dylan in the corner by the guitar. So that was really fun. This is a more coastal vibe. And the inspiration or jumping off point for this was the faucet. This is a Waterworks faucet, and it looks like a ship's helm. And that inspired the design and the jumping off point for the kitchen. Family comes home, kids are grown, they have significant others, so they wanted a place where everybody just enjoyed the shore. In New Jersey, we call it down the shore. So all the family would come down the shore and enjoy and have wonderful meals in this beautiful gourmet kitchen. But it was all inspired by a ship's helm. So you never know where the inspiration's going to come from. But photos leverage your work by helping you get seen and booked by your dream clients, and eventually, if you want, to help get you published. It's the brand cycle of life. Okay. How we display our work today has changed, hasn't it? Yes. Instagram, Pinterest, social media has all changed how people find us, how they relate to our style of photography and design. It's our new portfolio. And so consistent engagement is really important. It doesn't have to be every day, but being out there in a consistent way, a way that works for you. We're going to talk about healthy relationships with social media. But editors, clients, and your audience are drawn to what they see. What they see is on social media. So we want to show up very professionally and curate our social media presence. An active online presence beyond just your submissions to publication is critically important as well. Success on Instagram comes from having stunning photos. It's the law of attraction. So if you're a luxury or boutique design firm, and then you go to your Instagram or your Pinterest feed, does that aesthetic match? Does it align? Your presence online should be in alignment with your brand ethos. Okay, so we're gonna look at some of examples from my feed and how they say photos are dead. Well, they're not. Let's see. I have a feeling that interferes. Okay, yeah, it does. Okay, we're gonna watch the first one. Ready? Okay, you ready? Okay. Oh, I advanced.
Every morning,
Want to see it again? Want to see it again? Okay, I'll see it again. These are all photos, no video. Okay, that's one example. Huh? Trending audio. Okay. Then we'll see another one. Again, I'll play it again, but count, if you can, everybody try to count how many photos were used. Here we go. 12? Okay, all right. The first reel was 7 seconds and used 13 photos. The second reel was 8 seconds and 12 or 13 photos. And the apps I used for those, and I'll have a slide of all the apps that I used: Storybeats, InShot, Canva, and Vixer. I really love Storybeats. It picks the audio for you, and all you do is select photos, and it puts it to the beat. So those are examples of how photos aren't dead on Instagram. In fact, I'm using more photos than I have ever before to make my reels. Okay, so video is important, and I highly recommend you having videos, but it doesn't have to be professional video. It can be iPhone video. iPhone video is fantastic for behind the scenes, and I'll show you 2 examples. How many of you have a dedicated social media person in your design firm? Okay, a few of you. What's that? Yeah, absolutely. If you're consistently, if you have a dedicated person for social media, perfect. Does that person, are you doing weekly curated content? Do you have a workflow for your social media with your person? Okay, excellent. If you don't, I would highly recommend to develop a workflow that works for you. And something, are you familiar with batch working? So batch working is where you just set aside X amount of time, X amount of days a week to create that content, and then schedule it and be done with it. Don't think about it again. Don't let social media infiltrate every waking hour of your day. Talk about healthy relationship with social media, I promise. So yes, for behind the scenes, and I'm going to show you these 2 videos. Stories are now 60 seconds. So this is an example of a little bit longer story version. still behind the scenes with an iPhone. Here we go.
Take my breath away. Take my breath away. Watching, I keep waiting, still anticipating love.
So that was just on a tripod, my iPhone tripod. And you can have a little clicker that starts the video and stops it, but I just pressed the button and went in front. And I always do cinematic mode. It's kind of cool for photographers. We call it bokeh. So that's when you have like 2.8 f-stop. And I know you do. And you're focused on what's in front of you and everything in the background is blurred. You ever watch movies where they zoom in on one person, everything in the background, and then it switches? That's what the cinematic mode does. It's pretty cool. And then here's a shorter one. So 3 to 9 second reels seem to get the most views. And we don't care about views, but we do. So let me just show it to you. And this was shot at a photo shoot behind the scenes.
What's your favorite part about photography?
Getting the shot. One, two, three. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights.
I love that one because, yeah, it's a big switch, but they were both all taken from an iPhone. The one I just showed you is truly what it's like on photo shoot day, right? It's chaos. There's a dog running around. The Federal Express person needs a signature. There are styling boxes with product all around the floor, and my client was in the pantry styling that. And so all of this flurry of activity is kind of great to show your audience because it's showing the messy side of what you do. And people love that. They love to connect and relate to you on a human level. But it's important to keep a healthy relationship. There are 2 apps that I used for this. For my videos, I use Storybeat, InShot, Canva when I'm using video and audio, video and photos, and Vixer. Then the scheduling apps. So this goes back to if you have a dedicated person, if you don't, if you're doing it yourself, batch work and schedule it. I love Tailwind. Planoly is fantastic as well. Meta is free. Meta is for Instagram, and it also posts to Facebook. I like Tailwind. I use it for mainly Pinterest, which we're going to talk about Pinterest. Okay. Any questions about well, we'll take questions, but I'll definitely, go ahead. That's now Meta. So Creative Studios, which was on Facebook, right? Correct me? It's now Meta. Yeah, it's even better. I love it. Probably a little longer than that, but it's now Meta. So everybody at your seats received a resource guide, and on the back of it, there's 2 QR codes. We'll talk about that a little bit later. You also got a note card, and that note card is for you to write down questions that you have for me. And if you want to, just in case I don't get to all the questions, which I'm sure I will, write your information on the back so I can, if it's something I need to get back to you about, I will. So feel free to write down questions as we go through, and we'll be collecting those cards. But the resource guide is wonderful, and we'll talk about that. I have informational blog posts and free resources to help serve you. My goal is to serve my audience by instilling information that will help you grow your brand. Tips and tricks. This week's blog post was about something we're going to talk about today, which is Instagram guides. And so we're going to unlock that. And if you want to go and use your phones and follow along with the example, you can go to my Instagram, which is Tori Sikkema Photography, because I'm going to walk you through how to create a guide. But if you aren't familiar with Instagram guides, anybody familiar with guides? No? Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so excited for you. Okay. This is really going to help you monetize your brand and your business. And especially, how many businesses have shops where you're selling things? Yes. Okay. You're going to love guides. So, yeah, we're going to walk through an example. We're going to walk through an example right now. So there's 3 types of guides. There's place guides, there's product guides, and there's post guides. So place guides, think about a resource like the top 10 restaurants in High Point, North Carolina. So it's geo-focused. It's a geographical location that you're creating for your audience to say, here are the 10 best restaurants in High Point. Okay, that's an example of a place guide. Then there's a product guide, and this is great for brands that have shops, because what you can do is you can create a product guide, let's say 2022 holiday decor. Then you can connect all of your items on your shop that are those decor pieces, and people can shop them right from the guide. So very, very powerful product guides. And then post guides are probably the most open-ended guide that allow you the most freedom regarding what content you want to include. So think about any public posts. It could be your posts, it could be someone else's post that you're then putting together, and it could be how to style a bookshelf, decorating tips for the holidays, how to hang a picture, how to work with an architect, whatever ideas you can create by, so let's say you have 5 different posts on how to hang a picture. You can create a guide that could be your picture resources. Clients are always looking for how to hang pictures. I don't know, it's a popular topic. So places, products, and posts. And this was introduced by Instagram in 2020, and not many people know about them. It's sort of like a mini blog post. Okay, so if you want to follow along, you can go to @Tori Sikkema Photography, but I'm going to walk you through this example. Okay. All right, so we're on my feed, and we clicked the plus button, and we want to go to guides and post. Then what we do, it's a little video. I'll do it again. But we pick the posts. It's going too fast for me. We pick the posts that we want to create. So right now I'm selecting all of the posts. And then we have to name our guide. So we're going to name this guide Universal to the Trade. So our guide has to have a name. And every post that we want to include on the guide also has to have a title. So this one's going to be Coastal Vibe. The next post is going to be Cora Organic. The next one, I kind of thought this was like loungy vibe, modern lounge vibe. I'll play the beginning again so you see. And then Kelly Lamb. Love Kelly. Yeah, 5 minutes with Kelly Lamb. All I need is 5 minutes for her to sign my book. That's all I need, Kelly Lem. And then side tables. So it's just putting together posts. And then the designer's lounge. This is a universal, focused guide. Okay, so we've named everything. Then we hit next. And then we hit share. And it goes onto our feed like, after it processes, like this. There it is. So I'm going to just show you the very beginning part real quick. And there's all the guides. There's an actual tab. It looks like an open book. It's so cool. Okay, let's see if that'll play again. Okay, so the plus button up top. Then we go to guide down at the bottom. And what type? Post. We don't have to go through that again. Okay, I have a blog post that walks you step by step how to create this. So feel free to use that resource guide and scan the QR code. Okay, Pinterest. Pinterest is a search engine. Who knew? Did anyone know? Okay, good. A few of you. It is a powerful search engine. And what I love about it is it's sustainable. It sustains your content for years to come. Something that you create now is searchable 3 years from now. It never goes away. And one piece of content, just by changing a pin cover, that's like a graphic, they see it, they count it as new content. So you could have a blog post, and then you could create 10 different pin covers for that one blog post, and you have 10 pieces of content that can now be searchable on Pinterest. It is so powerful for interior designers to have a Pinterest board and boards. So the power of Pinterest is that you can have different boards, different topic boards. So one could be colorways, one could be boucle, boucle furniture. One could be designing offices. Another could be kitchens or seasonal entertaining. You name it. However you can showcase your work. That is what Pinterest was created for. It was created for interior designers to showcase your beautiful work and help you get seen. I would recommend, I try to post 5 times a day. And I schedule that. I know it sounds like a lot, it's not. Because remember, one piece of content equals like 10. And then you schedule it across multiple boards. For interior designers, I would venture to say posting 5 to 10 times a day would be very powerful, depending how many boards you spread your content through. It's consumable that serves your audience. So talking about content creation, produce and share things that will help serve your audience. Is there a pain point that you can give an example to overcome, how to overcome a pain point? Serving your audience in ways that helps them, makes their lives easier, helps them figure out that you're the perfect person for them to work for. And again, it's a visual medium, but it's a search engine. So whereas Instagram, your content doesn't stay around, unfortunately, and just a fraction of your audience really even sees your content. I know it's so disheartening, but Pinterest is really powerful, and it's just so an excellent source of creative inspiration for people. You can do DIYs, help people do something on their own. Just relate to them. All right. So keeping a healthy relationship with social media, it really isn't about likes. And I have a story. It's not about followers. It's not about keeping up with the algorithm. Lord knows no one can keep up with the algorithm. It's about engagement and showing your humanity and showing up consistently to add value by serving your audience and to grow your brand. I have a girlfriend who, back in the days of Instagram, maybe 7 years ago, it was really popular to hire bots, right, to up your likes and followers. And she did that because that was what a lot of people were doing. And today she tells what a story it was to overcome the damage that that did to her brand, because it was a sense of false growth. And then when she truly was putting out content, when she truly was at that pinnacle in her brand, there was no engagement because it had all been built on this false narrative. So I would just encourage you that organic growth is the best growth, and doing what works for you and your brand. You don't have to go along with the trends, because if it doesn't fit into your workflow or your brand ethos, then don't do it. Do what works for your brand and your business. How do you measure success on these platforms? I think for all social media, it's about adding value, serving your audience, solving a pain point, creating content that has multi-purposes across many platforms, and maybe popping into people's DMs. I've connected with a lot of people just asking a question in their DMs. And that genuine connection and having a conversation with your community is powerful. Your marketing strategy should be driven by your core values and your beliefs. I'm going to say that again. Your marketing strategy should be driven by your core values and your beliefs. And trust me, if you build your brand on that strategy, you are sure to succeed. I told you, most important part. You are the most important part. You're the face of your brand. You're as important, if not more important, than your design projects. Because without you, you're the magic. You're the secret sauce. You are the one that has the human power, the special power. So I encourage my clients, when we're at a photo shoot, we've got to get some images of you as well. It's so critical. What I like to say is that every 9th caption, every 9th square, right? So if your grid, a grid is like made up of 9 squares, show up once in your grid. So just once. That's not a lot. I try to capture images of you in your places and spaces. So here are some of my clients that I've captured in their spaces, and they're powerful images, and people relate to that. I know, we all want to lose that 20 pounds. I know, we want our hair to be just so, or our makeup needs to be perfect. But I promise you, showing up authentically helps connect with your ideal clients. So if you're natural, then be natural in front of the camera. If you love CAD work and designing, then have pictures of you working on CAD on the computer. If you're a fashionista, then show up in the latest, trend head to toe. But just show up. That's all they want. It doesn't have to be too thought out. It just has to be something that you just say, okay, I'm going to start showing up. and invite others to share and be vulnerable. So that brand circle of life again, it truly is all about having this workflow in place so that you aren't scrambling at the end when and if you decide that you want to try to get published. It's getting all of those elements of a foundation, a strong foundation together to help you grow. It starts with you, it starts with the why, it starts with your story. That's powerful. Humanizes you, relates to your clients, connecting with your audience. Then that helps you elevate your brand. And having a brand ethos and presence helps you elevate your business. Elevating your business helps you connect with clients, dream clients. And then, if you want, helps you to get published. And it's that brand circle of life that should be part of your workflow or thinking about being part of your workflow. But certainly getting out front of your brand, telling your story, relating to people, it's all about making connections. And so what have you learned today? And before we do this, if you want to, we're going to collect the cards. If you have questions, let's see. Madison, do you mind collecting cards? My sister-in-law and my girlfriend are here today, so I thank them for being here. So we're going to review what we learned. You have a powerful story to tell. Let's use photography to visually tell that story. Using social media, curated photos, right? We want to elevate our feed and our presence on that grid. You're in every 9th to elevate your brand presence, being the face of your brand, getting out there, which could lead you to getting booked and being published. Okay, so now it's your turn. I'm going to answer some of your questions, and I really appreciate all of you. Okay, so the first question is, what all is included in an interior stylist package? And what is the cost to travel to Maryland? Okay, wow. Okay. Whose question is that? Who lives in Maryland? Oh, hi. Okay, we will talk. Yeah, absolutely. So I work, if it's a full house project, so it would probably be a full day, and then styling. Yeah, so styling takes time. So if it's just I'm doing light styling, then we can do that as we're doing the photo shoot. Some styling needs to be done in advance if we're trying to it depends on what the purpose is of the photo shoot as well, so we can get into details. But if it's for publication, we want to really style it, and one room could take an hour just to style it so you're seeing it through the exact frame that you want to through the lens. But thank you. I will reach out to you and we'll talk more. Okay. How do you get published? Excellent question. So there's a free resource on my website, and it's how to get published. And it really goes into some of the detail. But then I have another resource that is the 6 S's of success to getting published. And that is a more detailed checklist for designers to help them understand when they're starting a project, what are some of the things that brand cycle of life, telling that story, giving you a roadmap on how to really think about approaching your project. If you do at the end want to get published, there are good steps and tips and tricks to help you stay very focused and organized. So two resources that I have. One is a free guide, and the The 6 S's of Success is $39. It's a downloadable resource. Do you post static pictures? Yes. Yes, so go back to, these are images. These are photos. So they're just snapshots to the beat. Am I answering that question correctly? So it's a static picture. Once shots are used in Reels, do you use the pictures again in a post? Yeah. So what you can do is you can have this reel as a post. It's a real post. And then it could also be your story. So again, you could have a weekly theme, which is what I try to do. So leading up to market, I had different themes, getting ready, traveling, da-da-da-da-da. And so I try to stick with that theme throughout the week. And what I posted was based on that theme. And that generally starts from my blog post. So my blog post is similar to my podcast, which then goes into my content for Instagram and Pinterest and stories and Facebook. So it's all cyclical. It's trying to just work smarter, not harder. We're all working hard enough. So how do we take that content and give it longevity? How often do you post Reels versus stories? Or, yeah, Reel versus stories. So stories, I try 4 to 5 times a week, and posts/Reels 3. Try to take the weekend off. But sometimes I'll post on a Sunday. Great questions. How far in advance do you stage a post? Okay, so batch working, back to batch working. You can use these scheduling apps, again, Tailwind. So for scheduling, Tailwind, Meta, and Planoly. Meta is free. Planoly and Tailwind both have free versions, but you can schedule a month in advance, or you could just go 2 weeks. Some people can go more than a month, but they're superhuman. In my book, I couldn't go out that far. If you had to choose a social media platform, which one for decorator? Which one for a decorator? Ooh. So if you had to choose, am I just choosing one? If I'm just choosing one, I feel like everybody has to have an Instagram presence. Sorry. It's your new portfolio. So here's what you could do. What I would recommend is have stunning curated photos on Instagram. So, I don't know, enough that people can scroll a bit. But then if you can't post, again, it's what works for you and your brand. But someone landing on your Instagram account, I want them to see a stunning feed. So enough images, maybe 9 times 3, 27 to 36 as a minimum. And then if you can only post infrequently, I understand. I think Pinterest is very powerful because it's longevity, it's the long game. But, Instagram is a beast. It needs to be fed. So get a really nicely curated professional presence, and then do what you can. Stories are important. People like to see your stories and what you're doing. Those are really quick, just like video clips behind the scenes, starting a project. I have a marketing workflow when I have a photo shoot with a client, and I'm capturing video content for them, and I'm giving them a couple reels. So I'm invested in their social media success and presence as well. So it is important to be on Instagram, and Pinterest is very powerful for designers because it's a visual medium and it's a search engine, so people can find you. Excellent question. So hashtag strategy, it changes a lot. Do we put them in the comments? Do we not put them in the comments? Do we do only 4 or do we do 30, which is the allowable length? What I love about the scheduling apps is when you put your content in, your caption, immediately it's going to tell you what hashtags are trending for that. And I don't know the numbers, but I know that in Tailwind, there's best, competitive, and niche. Guess which one I want? I want niche. I want niche. I want to connect with my interior designers, my architects, my builders. I want to connect with publications that have a similar vibe to what I'm shooting and what my clients, where they see themselves. That's another really great thing in publishing is know your design personality and what publications are in alignment with that. So Tailwind, they do it for you when you put your caption in. They give you suggestions, then you pick. Planoly is the same. And I'm not sure about Meta. I know that when you start typing in, it'll complete it for you, right? It's kind of like that search engine if you put in to the search bar interior and then interior design tips, interior ideas, all of those things will pop up. But I'm not sure if it tells you if it's competitive. It doesn't. To my knowledge, only Tailwind does that. And I always choose niche. Hi.
If you're not able to do like daily posts, is there like a better day of the week, or is there like a better time in the day to post for content?
That's a great question. So I know a lot of people, and I'm included in this. I used to go crazy. Well, I've got to post. I got to be home because I have to post at 6 o'clock, and that's the best time. Or I have to do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? Take the weekend off. But it's not so much that anymore. What I would say in my philosophy now is when I have time to engage with my audience is when I post. So I like to post and then be on the platform for like 10 minutes. If someone has a comment or has a question or, likes it, I like to engage with them to either thank them or, engage in some manner with their taking time to reach out to me, and I want to take time to have a response. And again, humanizing the platform. What I will say again is these scheduling apps are getting fantastic with that. So they'll give you optimal times to post and to publish your work. And I would go with that. So right now, I think I like to post at 3 o'clock. But that might change the next week. It might be 10 a.m. And it depends on the type of content. If it's a story that is like a Monday motivation or a Tuesday tip, I try to get those out in the morning so that people can it's actually Tuesday when they're getting the tip, right? It's not like Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Oh, that sounds silly. But with those, I try to post in the morning. Does that help? Okay. Any other questions? This is fantastic. Wow. Okay. So then I should be arrested. Because, or put into Instagram jail. I'm going to say that I haven't heard that because if you think about it, Meta, which is a scheduling app, they're taking the post and they're reorienting it for, yes. So they're reorienting because you're posting once to 2 platforms. So that post, and you can see it, you can toggle back and forth to how your post looks in Instagram to what it's going to look like in Facebook. Because I know historically you're correct, I would have to go in and reorient the post like a 4:5 or whatever the ratio was. But now Meta does that automatically for you. So I don't think that's a thing.
Something I just learned recently in one of the workshops that I signed up for. Pinterest is like a different algorithm. So things that you would not put on Instagram, you would put on Pinterest because it's more of a search engine. So you kind of have to reconfigure maybe some of the wording. Like you wouldn't use hashtags on Pinterest as you would on Instagram. It's okay if you use them on Facebook, but it doesn't do you any good. They're just there. It's fine. But if you are, you're not going to use emojis in Pinterest because you're trying to promote products, right? And keep maybe a little bit more clean, professional. But Instagram is for the human side of you and your brand. Yes. So it's okay to be a little bit more silly, to change up your verbiage to be a little bit more human, like on everybody else's level. So I would just say, look to see what each platform really has to offer and how to change your post for that one to kind of fit their mold and to fit their algorithm. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
fantastic.
What would you do if you have a project you want to publish and it takes so long, but you want the pictures at least for social? What do you take from that project without revealing too much? Because I know some magazines don't want you to show anything before they publish it.
Okay, very good. Yeah, because we all want content, right? We need content. We have a professional photo shoot. We want to be able to use the images. So generally, and it depends on, so if it's a kitchens issue, like all the kitchen issues are coming up for magazines. So if we're shooting, so if it's for that specific niche, then you can use the other images, but just don't use the kitchen images. If we're going for an entire house tour, and this is all explained too, because I'm not getting into it here, but I want you to expand your definition of being published. There's so many, especially with the digital marketplace, so many ways to be published, not just in print publications. So house tours are generally a whole house. So if you're going to submit for a house tour, then you kind of have to hold those images sacred. Have your photographer, or if it's me, I would shoot vignettes for your social media. So there's a strategy, right? It's all about what you need. It's about, if you need content, then we're shooting the vignettes and the details for your content. We're shooting the heroes and the wider angles for publications. Love LinkedIn. Yes, I post my blog posts because it's engagement. If it's suitable, right? It's a different demographic. I'll give you an example. So my fellow speakers for this weekend at the Learning Center, I reached out to every single one of them and connected with them to say, thank you for coming. To say, hey, I'm a fellow speaker, love to connect. And so that's just a different demographic, right? I would not have done that necessarily on Instagram, but on LinkedIn, it's a little more professional. It's connection, it's networking, business to business, 100%. And your blog posts can certainly put them up on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, love it. Yes. Great question. I have. So Google ads and Facebook ads. Facebook ads are really powerful for if you have a course or you have something that you're selling or teaching or you want exposure, it's to bring that audience in to learn more. So imagine if you have something that you want people to learn more about and you can take them somewhere, right? So the action for Facebook ads is a destination. You're taking your clients on a journey where for what? At the end of the rainbow, are you going to end up in a gift shop? No. At the end of Learn More, are they going to buy something? How are they going to engage with you? Google ads are powerful. I did my own Google ads, and I had to really monitor the negative words a lot. Like it was a full-time job just to not have cheap photographer come up in a search, right? You don't want, JCPenney photography. No, that's not my ideal client. Nude photography. Trust me, I'm telling you, girl, it was like negative words. So if you have the time to monitor the negative words because you don't want to come up as, I don't know, what would it be for designers? Something that you don't want to do. It's DIY. Right. You don't want to come up in a DIY search. You want to come up in your niche. But you have to manage all the negative keywords, and that is a full-time job. But I do love Google ads. I just stopped doing them. But I love Facebook ads. If you're selling something, you have a course, you wrote a book, you have something that you want them to take action on. This is great. More questions? We can all go for drinks. Designers Lounge. Let's go. No. Questions? I'm here all night. Thank you. Thank you.